Hello everyone, in this lecture we will learn how to handle exceptions in Python. Mainly we will see how to use try and except block to handle exceptions. We know exceptions are raised when the program is syntactically correct but the code results in an error. So exceptions abnormally terminates the execution of a program. Since exceptions abnormally terminates the execution of a program, it is very important to handle the exceptions. In Python, we use try and except block to handle exceptions. It is pretty much same as try and catch block in other programming languages. So when we will use this try and except block? Let's say we write some code for our test automation and we expect our code may fail in one point, but we do not want to stop the test case there. So in that case, we can wrap that specific code where we expect a failure into try block, and when exception is raised in the try block, control will move to the except block. So in the end, test will not fail but exception will be raised. By looking at the exception, we can debug our code. So every try block is followed by an except block. When an exception occurs, it is caught by the except block. The except block cannot be used without the try block. Let's see with an example so you will understand it very clearly. For that, let me create a new Python file. I will name it as, let's say, learn try except. Okay. I will copy some code how to read and write a file. Let me go here. Let me take this. We have already learnt about this, how to read a file, how to write a file. Let me just copy this code. So what we are doing here, we are just trying to read this sample.txt file here, right? Here we have the sample.txt file. Let me execute it. Okay, there is no exception, everything is fine. It is running fine, right? So let me name it as, let's say, sample python.txt file. Okay, do we have this sample python.txt file here? No, we have only one txt file, right? So basically when we will execute this, we will see some error, right? Let's see what is that error. See, we are seeing one error here. What is that? File not found error. Okay, no such file or directory sample python.txt, because this file is not there. That's why we are getting this error. So how we will handle this exception? So to handle this exception, we will use try and except block. Okay, so how we will do it? So let me do one thing. Okay, let me just put a try block here. So I'll say try. Okay, and then let me just copy this. Okay, and let me put it here. Okay, I can take it up. Okay, so within try I put all this code. Okay, and then I will put also a except block. Okay, then what I will write here? I will write print this text file is not present. Okay, so basically I tried to wrap this code inside a try block. Okay, and the exception, whatever I am expecting, right? So that I have added to the print statement. Okay, let me execute it. See, this text file is not present. So this is the exception we got, because when the code was fine, then no problem. But when this file is not present, right? In that case, we will get this exception. Okay. So you will tell me, okay, what will happen if we will have only sample.txt file? Let's see that. Okay, let me execute. See, there is no problem because this code is fine, everything is working fine, whatever is present inside try block. So the code is not coming here. So when there is a failure here, then the code will move. Okay, code will move to the except block. Okay, that's why when we are putting it sample python.txt file which is not present, and we are getting a exception, and this exception we have added. Okay, one more thing. So here we are printing our own customized message, right? We are not actually getting what exact error Python was throwing. So you would have been seen it already, right? Okay, let me put it here. Okay, so here anyway is present inside the try and except block, so we will get this error, but again I am just writing it, and maybe let me just put reader.read method, right? So here we will get a error. Let's see. Okay, so you see, first for this thing we got a exception, this one, this is fine, but only for these two things, these two lines, we are getting this error, right? Sample python.txt file is not present. Okay, so this is the exception which Python is giving to us, right? So how we will get that? Okay, so to get that, what you can do, let me again just cut it and let me put it inside try block, try, and then this exception, then what will write, except, then exception as e, okay, then you say print e. Okay, so here e is a reference variable to actual exception, and once it is stored in it, then we are printing it. Now let me just execute it. See what we are getting, no such file or directory, sample python.txt. Okay, so this is the error we are getting for this. Okay, if you are getting confused, let me just comment out this. Okay, let me run it. Okay, now we are getting the error, this is given by Python. Okay, so this is the exact error given by the Python. Okay, and here we have given our own customized message. Okay, so what and all we learned here? Try and except statements are used to catch and handle exceptions in Python. Statements that can raise exceptions are wrapped inside the try block, and the statements that handle the exception are written inside the except block. So in our real time, right, in our test automation, when we don't want to fail our test and simply catch the exception, then we can use this try and except block. Okay, now we will learn about finally keyword in Python. So the finally keyword is always executed after the try and except block. The final block always executes after the normal termination of the try block, or after the try block terminates due to some exceptions. So the code within the final block is always executed no matter whether there is an exception or not in your try and except block. So the code present inside the final block is always executed. That is very important. So let's see how it works. So here we have already this try and except thing, right? Now what we will do, we will just write a finally block here. Okay, and we will just try to print something, print, okay, give any message. Let me put clearing the data. Okay, let me just execute it. See, first we are getting no such file or directory, sample python.txt, because it is giving us the exception. Then we are getting clearing the data. Let me just give the correct file, sample.txt. Let's see whether it is printing or not, this final block, right? See, now also it is printing. So whether you are getting an exception or not, this final block is always getting executed. So in the real time, where we will use this finally block? Let's say you are writing a test, and in the beginning of the test you did a data setup, and in the end of the test you are clearing or deleting that data, because you don't want to keep on adding data after each test execution. We call it setup and tear down of data in test automation world. This is a best practice we follow. Let's say due to any reason your test got failed in the middle and it didn't reach the code where you have written to clear the data. In that case, data will be added, right? So, to avoid that situation, you can always write your tear down or cleaning test inside the finally block. Because when you use finally block, no matter where your test failed, it will always reach the final block and the code written there will get executed. So that's the advantage of using final block. That's what you even saw here, right? Whether we have a correct file or not, whether the exception is raised or not, always this finally block is getting executed. Okay. So that's all for this lecture. See you in the next lecture. Thank you.